Hey everyone, I know it's been ages, but it's great to be back on the channel and posting just a quick tip today. I don't know if you've ever run a CLI build with Angular and noticed inside your dist directory there's all those vendor files, the bundles that are like massive, and you're like, wouldn't it be great if I knew what was inside those bad boys? Well, today's 5-minute tip is just around how to dig inside that with Source Map Explorer, have a poke around, see what dependencies you're actually shipping with your app, and give you some ideas about how you can thin that down to have faster loading apps. It's going to be fun. Thanks for hanging out. All right, people, just want to share this really cool tip that I learned from Jim Cooper's awesome Pluralsight course on Angular best practice about shrinking your production build sizes. So if I look at this little sample app that I've used for my Pluralsight course, which was around PrimeNG, I'm just going to refresh this page and have a look at how much stuff comes over the wire when this thing gets served up. So you see down here in this load requests, this little number here is ticked up to 2.8 megs. That's like quite a lot of stuff being served for an initial page load. Now I'm not using any lazy loaded routes or any cool stuff like that, so I'm just serving the whole app up. But it's been pretty interesting to see how can you get to the back of what those numbers really are. So if you've ever used the CLI build before, you've seen that it spits out, when you do a production build in particular, these numbers here, which give you some ideas about how big the bundle sizes are once they're minified and compressed. But who's to know like what's in that bad boy? Well, today I want to show you a tool that was introduced to me on that particular course, which is called Source Map Explorer. Now this little bad boy is awesome. So this will look inside all of those bundle files, so you can actually see when your app is shipped, how is the breakdown of all the different dependent libraries in that vendor bundle that ships with your app. Let me just have a look at one of the sample ones that they've got here, and you can see. So this gives you a breakdown. Here's jQuery and all the sort of sub-dependencies of that, or D3, or inside these node modules. And here's an interesting deal, like this particular app has 2 copies of React shipping with it. So this is a cool little thing of the kind of stuff you can find. The one that I really find is just wildcarding too many RxJS kind of dependencies. That's always something that grabs me and have to fix up. So let me show you how you can get this magic happening in your own app. And I'm just going to use this agile time sample that we've got here to give you a bit of a sample to get started. All right, I'm just going to break out of my currently running app. So in package.json, I'm going to first of all need to install the actual Source Map Explorer stuff. Now you can install it globally, but I kind of like to install it with the proj, so that when I just respark this project on some other machine around work, then everything that I need is right there. So I'm just going to install Source Map Explorer, and I'm going to do a save dev and a save exact because I'm thinking about that. And now that is actually installed in my project.json, so that'll go down here. Now, Source Map Explorer, of course, is quite a lot to type, so I'm going to just put in a little alias. So in my scripts up the top here, I'm just going to have an SME alias, and all that's going to run is it's going to run Source Map Explorer. Can't type today, it must be the rain. Okay, so now I've got that in, one thing I have to do for Source Map Explorer to work is I have to generate a build that's got source maps set to true. Now, normally when you do a production build, source maps is set to false, obviously, because you don't want to ship all that stuff with your production build. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new disk task here called dist with maps, and that's going to run the dist task, which we already have, which are ng build minus prod. But I'm also going to pass it the minus source maps equals true. Okay, so that just is going to generate the source maps. Now this is going to take a little bit of time to run, so I'll probably fade the camera out here. But if I go npm run dist with maps, and I'll let that run its course there. Okay, so we now get to see the output of that production build and our source maps, and you can see all the map files have been generated here. Of this list here, the one that sort of speaks to me the most is that massive vendor one, which is all the dependencies that get bundled with my build. So wouldn't it be great if you could have a little look inside that? And that's exactly what Source Map Explorer lets us do. So we can go npm run SME, because that was my little alias for Source Map Explorer. And then I can go inside the dist directory and maybe have a look at that vendor bundle and give that a run. Now, when that comes up, I'll be able to see all the different dependencies that have been shipped with my app. Now, this is a PrimeNG sample, so it's got a lot of PrimeNG controls in it. So if we were to have a look at that, you'll see that probably the majority of things here are prime ng controls. Then I've got this Angular stuff. I notice RSJX, which is looking pretty small, and Dexy, which I'm using for some local storage. Now you can drill into these as well. So you click into them and it'll show exactly which operators that you're currently shipping with. And so for instance, I've got a bunch of operators and a bunch of observables, and I could probably tighten up the list of these that I'm shipping. But when you look at it, this is 22K. That's probably not where the cheap wins are. Probably the cheapest wins are having a bit of a dive inside my prime ng components, because they're taking up nearly 600K of that build. And I'm sure that I'm not using every single one of these. For instance, org chart is a low-hanging fruit there. I could get 10K back there without even trying. So that's just a cool little tool that you can apply to your own projects. So thanks so much for Jim Cooper for showing us that tip. And I hope it's valuable to you to try and work out exactly what you're shipping in your production builds and how you can get things down running a little bit tighter. Awesome team, have fun, and we'll talk to you soon.